The night had just fallen over the bustling city, painting the streets in golden-orange hues from the flickering lamps. A light drizzle had left the air smelling like wet earth and hope. Somewhere between the rhythm of honking cars and the chatter of strangers, a girl named Mira sat silently in the back seat of a taxi, clutching her purse tightly as her heart raced faster than the city's heartbeat. It wasn't just any evening. It was her first date in 3 years, and she had waited for this moment like someone waiting for spring after a long, cold winter. She had spent hours preparing, curling her hair, choosing the right perfume, and replaying every possible version of how the evening might go. The man she was meeting, Ayan, had seemed different from anyone she'd met before. They'd met online, not through the typical swipe culture, but in a community forum discussing books and kindness. His words had warmth, not pretense. His messages felt like handwritten letters in a world full of copy-paste hearts. Still, she couldn't help but imagine that their first date would be something out of a movie: soft lights, music, a restaurant with a view. She deserved that, didn't she? After all, her last relationship had ended in humiliation, and she had promised herself that if she ever said yes again, it would be to someone who valued her heart and worth. But destiny, as always, had its own script. Before we dive deeper into Myra's unforgettable evening, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the magic of genuine love, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Your support helps us spread more stories that remind the world what it means to feel. When Mira stepped out of the taxi, her heels clicked against the uneven pavement as she scanned the area. Her heart skipped when she saw Ayan standing there, waiting near the corner of the street. He wasn't dressed extravagantly, just a simple gray shirt, sleeves rolled up, and a warm smile that felt disarming. But when he gestured toward the row of food stalls behind him instead of a restaurant entrance, Mira froze. She blinked once, thinking maybe he was joking, but he wasn't. Ayan led her toward a small street food stall, the kind covered with a plastic canopy and surrounded by sizzling pans, flickering stoves, and the delicious chaos of city life. Steam rose into the air, carrying the aroma of spicy noodles, roasted corn, and chai. Her stomach twisted, not with hunger, but with confusion. This wasn't what she had imagined. Not after everything she had told him about her past, her insecurities, her wish for something meaningful. He had invited her out and said he had something special planned. And this crowded, noisy, messy place was his idea of special. Mira tried to smile, but her disappointment was impossible to hide. She had dressed like someone going to a candlelight dinner, not a roadside stall. Her heels were sinking into the damp ground. People were laughing, kids were running around, and the man frying snacks kept shouting orders in broken English. She felt out of place, utterly, painfully out of place. But Ayan seemed completely at ease. He pulled out a plastic chair for her, gently wiping it with a tissue before gesturing for her to sit. He ordered 2 cups of chai and some snacks with the excitement of a child who had found his favorite playground. When he turned to her, his eyes sparkled with a kind of contentment she hadn't seen in years. "Mira," he said softly, "I know this isn't what you were expecting, but I want to bring you somewhere real." She didn't respond. Her pride whispered that this was ridiculous. Yet, something in his tone made her stay. As they sat there, the chai arrived, served in small glass cups, steaming hot, the scent of cardamom filling the air. Ayan lifted his cup and took a slow sip, closing his eyes as though it was the best drink in the world. He smiled and told her, "This stall's been here for 20 years. When my father was alive, we used to come here every Sunday after he closed a small shop. We didn't have much money, but this was our treat. He'd always tell me, 'Son, never judge a place by its price, judge it by its heart.'" Mira felt something shift inside her. The words "when my father was alive" echoed softly. Ayan went on, telling her stories of how his father had struggled to raise him alone after losing his mother, how he'd taught him that true class wasn't in where you ate, but in how you treated people, and how this stall reminded him of simpler times when life felt honest. The rain began again, light, melodic drops tapping the canopy overhead. Ayan quickly got up and moved his chair closer to hers, creating a small umbrella with his hand to shield her from the drizzle sneaking in from the side. Mira couldn't help but laugh a little. The moment felt strangely warm, imperfect, messy, but alive. The stall owner smiled at them, bringing more snacks on his own. "You two look good together," he said cheerfully, and Mira blushed. It had been so long since someone had said something so pure to her. As the night deepened, Mira found herself loosening up. She took her first sip of the chai, and to her surprise, it was delicious, sweet, creamy, and full of nostalgia she didn't know she was missing. Ayan told her about his dreams, not of luxury, but of creating a community kitchen one day where people who couldn't afford meals could eat with dignity. He said he believed love should feel like food, simple, comforting, and shared. Mira really listened. The man sitting before her wasn't trying to impress her. He was just being himself, unfiltered and kind. And somewhere in that simplicity, she began to see beauty. She realized how much time she'd spent chasing perfection that she forgot what sincerity felt like. The drizzle turned into heavier rain, and the street grew quieter as vendors started packing up. But Ayan and Mira stayed. He offered his jacket when he noticed her shivering, and when she hesitated, he smiled and said, "It's not fancy, but it's warm, like this place." That line struck her. Warm like this place. In that moment, something inside Mira broke. The part of her that equated love with fancy dinners and luxury gestures. She remembered her ex-boyfriend, who had taken her to the most expensive restaurants, but never once looked her in the eye when she spoke about her dreams. He had bought her roses, but never remembered her birthday. He had promised her a future, but never offered her respect. But here she was, sitting under a plastic canopy with a man who had spent every second making sure she was comfortable, not through money, but through presence. When the rain finally stopped, Ayan insisted on walking her to her taxi. As they walked, she noticed the small things. The way he greeted the beggar boy selling tissues, the way he helped an old man cross the puddle, the way he laughed softly when a stray dog wagged its tail at him. It was all so effortlessly kind. Before getting into the taxi, Mira turned to him. Her voice was quiet, but her heart was loud. "You were right," she said. "This place was real." He smiled. Sometimes the best memories aren't made in perfect places, they're made in honest ones. That night, Mira went home and couldn't sleep. She kept replaying every detail, every word, every feeling. It wasn't a date she'd ever imagined, but maybe it was exactly the one she needed. Because for the first time, she felt seen, not as someone to impress, but as someone to connect with. Days turned into weeks, and the two continued to meet, sometimes at cafes, sometimes at parks, sometimes again at the same street stall. That little place became their story's heartbeat. And one evening, months later, when Ayan finally held her hand and said, "I'm glad you stayed that first night," she smiled through tears and whispered, "I'm glad you showed me what real love looks like." Love, she learned, wasn't about chandeliers or menus with French names. It was about warmth, respect, and the courage to show someone who you really are. So the next time someone takes you somewhere unexpected, remember, maybe the surprise isn't in the place, but in the heart of the person who brought you there. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, and share this video to remind others that love isn't about luxury, it's about meaning. Subscribe to our channel for more true and emotional stories that heal and inspire. Speech balloon special request. Before you go, tell us in the comments, would you choose a fancy restaurant or a street stall if the person beside you truly cared for you? Because sometimes the simplest places create the most unforgettable moments.